Good morning, everybody, and yes, indeed, we have managed to find the Nkuhuma Pride. And for all of those out there who think lions are very active at night, they have moved probably about 15 meters. 15 meters is not very far in the context of things, but that is just evidence of how full they really were and how much buffalo they managed to secure for themselves last night. The youngsters looking at some francolin that were moving along the road. There's some Shelley's francolin and some crested now as well. There comes a lion. The youngsters probably gone for a drink, and it's on its way down the road now all the way back to the rest of the pride. Remember, the Buffelshoek Dam is not far, probably 200, not even 200 yards behind where that lion has just come from. So I haven't been able to count all the lions here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus that one joining is about 9, but I don't know. They might just be lying up in the grass. Okay, here comes another one from the dam. 2 of the youngsters. A little bit more energy, I suppose. Such beautiful golden light for these tawny cats. Yay, lions. Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have the Nkuhumas on our property for the last 2 days. And hopefully, as their heads are up, they're definitely in the mood to do something. Oh, as I say that, the one lioness flops to the ground. But definitely, probably, or hopefully, they might do some playing like we had the other night. That was marvelous. And thankfully, we're far enough away from where they probably spent most of the night, so the smell that we normally find with a pride of lions like this seems to have disappeared. Ah, there we go, for the yoga enthusiasts, the downward-facing dog. There seems to be something in the bushes there that those youngsters are interested in. And now this lioness is moving towards it as well. Oh, it just jumped into the tree. It's in the tree. Sid, public, do lion prides ever get big? Too big they have to break up? Yes, they will. If conditions are very, very good, prides sometimes get very, very large because there's a huge food abundance. Let's see, she's going to tackle. Yeah, that's a playful adult there. It's nice to see. So sometimes if the prides get too big, it becomes difficult to feed them all. And that often happens when you get a high proportion of the cubs that survive. In my experience with the mountain pride down in Singita Kruger Park, they had a number of individuals that were sub-adults that survived, and so the lionesses themselves actually split, with some of the lionesses moving off and starting their own pride and getting their own cubs, because it was about 30 animals at the time, and then it was just way too much food. You can imagine a wildebeest or even a buffalo doesn't go very far amongst 30 animals, because a lioness itself can probably feed on about 40 to 50 pounds of meat in one sitting. They've recorded a male lion feeding on 36 kilograms in one go, which is an enormous amount of meat. I think I'm going to try get around there, because for some reason those lionesses seem to be jumping into the tree. Are you okay with that, Darby? That seems to be where the action is. Good morning, Pee-wee Bruce. You want to know why lions have black marks behind their ears? I'll explain that to you. Let's just have a look at this lioness having a little claw mark there. This is very common in lions to do. They scratch trees. Some people say it's a form of territory marking, but it's also a way of cleaning the claws. Watch, that individual on the right is going to stalk. Watch this. Here it comes. Here comes the leopard crawl. Here, look at that, hiding behind that small bush. Here we go. The death pounce. Ooh, yay. This is what we love about lions, when they get playful like this, in really good light. So the black marks behind the ears, if you see that lioness, as it turns right there, can you see those black marks? Now, as it turns towards us, those black marks disappear. So essentially what it is these cats are tawny and they're camouflaged. And when they have intention, for example, as that one you're looking at now is looking, the intention on its face and those ears can indicate to the rest of the pride behind it in very dark conditions exactly what direction it's looking in. And that can allow the pride to single out prey animals, and so they can put their intention into the same hunt. But and from the front, those black marks are not there, which means that they are almost invisible to the animals out here, because lions are all about camouflage and stealth, and when they don't want to be seen, they are not seen. So the black marks on the ears and on the tail are primarily for communication for the pride, for the other animals, so that they all know what is going on and where the others are going to. And that is a fully grown lioness there. She is beautiful. I'm not sure which one she is. I think she might be the mother of the cub. All that tactile communication, head rubbing. The cub's getting a bit jealous. It's going to go and say hello to mum now. In the front of the, just moving away here. There we go. Some interesting behavior. There we go. There's the littlest member of the Nkuhuma Pride. And she's wondering what mum is doing. Very cute. Those of you who've been with us for some time will know that that cub was not looking well a month ago, and we haven't spent too much time with him over the last month, so we know that it's definitely competing well in the feeding frenzy of the kill, and it's picked up quite a bit of weight. It's still a little bit skinny, but it seems to be doing quite well, and that cough that was very characteristic of it seems to have gone. I haven't heard it. I think I heard it cough once the other day. Watch, the cub is low, getting ready for the pounce. 3, 2, 1, go. The cub has to be tough because there's lots of young sub-adults here that just flatten it. So we watched the other day as it got involved with all the individuals and was always the second one to help pounce and take down another one of the youngsters. But then each of the youngsters in turn took it upon them to harass this poor little cub. So it needs to be tough. It's like having lots of older brothers or sisters that just beat you up. You need to be tough to survive. And that is the way lions work. If you can't survive the play and you can't survive the kill, then your genetics will go away with you. Sassy, this is very sweet. It is wonderful to spend time, excuse me, with lions doing something like this. Watch, the cub is probably going to claw on the tree now, just like mother did. Let's have a look. Oh no. Yesterday it was doing some clawing. Now it's going to eat a leaf. This one's going to claw. Oh, there we go. Is there going to be some scratches? Yes. There we go. Quite often when we spend time with these animals, they are so full and so bloated that you end up just watching them lying very, very flat. We were very fortunate, Dave and myself, I think 3 nights ago, to have spent that amazing couple of hours with the pride. Spent the whole afternoon with them, and they were playing and playing. It was really quite something to see, especially early on in the evening. Very boisterous. You see how it goes for the rump. It's a very important tactic for lions to pull down larger prey, such as buffalo. They don't want them to get their horns in the way. That poor terminalia, silver cluster leaf, is getting a proper scratching. Anna Marie would like to know why the sticks seem to get mange, whereas the Nkuhumas don't. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but mange has got a lot to do with condition, and it's also can be transferred by ticks. It can actually lead to mange. So a lot of it's condition. Maybe the sticks aren't getting as good a diet. Maybe there's more competition down there for them. Maybe the animals that they are feeding on are smaller, so there's more competition in the pride. I don't know exactly, but mange is something that perpetuates in animals that have a lower condition. I mean, you could see Amber Eyes had a little bit of mange on her back, but because she's such a strong individual, and because she's so big and dominating, and they get so many buffalo, it seems like their condition just seems to override the mange. But what is good news is that the lions are all moving in a southerly direction. Possible they're going to just go and drink, but that is into Djuma. So we're going to be able to spend some more time with them, which is great. They could quite easily have turned and gone towards us, and then within 30 to 40 yards they would have been out of our property and we would have had to leave them. But this is marvelous. We've got them moving, we've got them playing. Yeah, the adult has taken down the cub. He has no respite from any of the individuals. Shame. They all have a go at the little youngster. They all have a go, and they all seem like they're going to move towards the dam. So let's see if we can just move around and get on the other side of them. Sandra wants to know when the pride teaches the cub how to hunt. It's learning all the time. All of these games that you see, all of these games that they play, these tackling and clawing and fighting and jumping and pouncing and stalking that you see the cubs playing, are all actually practice for the real thing. They need to practice on targets that aren't going to hurt them back, or aren't going to fight them, or aren't going to gorge them with a horn. I think I mentioned the other day, yes, we have got them in the tree. The littlest one has jumped up there to join that one. Oh, he's trying to pull it out. She's trying to pull it out. No, let her play in the tree. It's a proper little jungle gym for these cats. Here comes the adult. Oh, that's how you play. That's how you take something down. And now she's trying to pull the baby out the tree. Look at that. This is marvelous. I've never in my life ever seen a lion in a tree. I've seen photos and video, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. This is marvelous stuff. Most of the pride is behind us now, walking directly towards the dam. It was only the one that went, and then they started giving off that sort of contact call, and now they all started following. And as we turned around, we got these two youngsters jumping in the tree and having an absolute ball of a time. Oh, there's lots of playing going on. We're finding it very difficult to find the right place to be. Gator den. Wow, look at that. Isn't that marvelous? There's an adult female who's just jumped into the tree. She weighs about 135 kilograms. What's that? 260, 280 pounds. And she just effortlessly jumped into that tree. I think they're trying to be leopards today. You wanted to go to Den, you wanted to know if male lions play. And I have seen males play, younger males especially. Older males don't have too much time for play. They will groom and spend time with each other, but they don't play. I think they're too cool for that. And often you'll see youngsters try to play with them, and they don't like that too much, depending on the male. But this is wonderful. I wonder if there was at any stage maybe a leopard cached something in that tree which has given them the inspiration to climb it. Maybe it smells of meat in there. Who knows? Marvelous to see it, though. I'm sure these individuals are going to start following the rest of the pride now. It's really hard for us to make up our mind. Do we stay with the lion in the tree, or do we go and follow the lions that are definitely going to go and drink? Well, at least there's a lioness here, and that's a young male there who might jump in the tree as well. Let's see if there's enough weight. or the tree's got enough strength. African weeping wattle. He's getting a hammering today from the Nkuhumas. That's marvelous. Adult lioness in a tree. It's going to walk right. Drink. Let's have a look at that. The resident hippos are in attendance, and we have at least, let's see, at least 5 individuals there at the moment. Apologies. Isn't that marvelous? The rest of them, I'm sure, will be on their way soon. And then who knows in what direction these lions will start to move. Veronica. Oh, wow, actually, there's 2 more off to the right. Veronica, big cats can swim. In the Okavango Delta in Botswana, there are actually lion prides there that swim. They follow and chase buffalo, and they've got very used to swimming. But what I've seen in my experience with leopards and cat and lions is they don't like to swim. They actually seem to be a bit afraid of the water, and in many occasions I've seen both lion and leopard that are kind of crossing a drainage system, and there seems to be a bit of water trickling down because of some rainfall. They almost hiss at the water and they jump across it. They look quite awkward with water, but I think it's just got to do with where they're born and how important water is in their life. And if a lion lives in an area like the Okavango where from an early age it's exposed to water and to floods, then they seem to get over it. But out here in the Kruger, we don't get such extensive amounts of water, or the rivers aren't too bad. And the lions always have a way of crossing it without swimming, so they tend to seem to not swim at all. That is my experience anyway. Dave, do you want me to get a bit closer there? No. Okay, so we're going to see if we can get a bit closer there. We just wanted to come onto the dam wall to see if we could see exactly where they're going to go to. And now we can go in and down there to exactly where they are. We can get a nice little visual of them. Lacey, that's a very good question. How do we tell them apart, the different prides? Essentially, you look at adult females, and there's characteristics about them. What's very easy with Nkuhumas is the one female's... Ooh, I'm just going to stay right here, because we've got a small breeding herd of elephant that are coming down, unless you want me to go in there, Dave. This could be interesting. We've got the lions off to our right, and we've got the elephant coming in from the left. And I have no doubt that they will smell these lions. I don't think the lions will do anything apart from... Oh, hello, that's a lovely little sand bath, youngster. It's like a young boy. The lions' heads are up. They're very interested to know what it is that's coming. Apologies for my head there. It's okay, Mama. It's okay. It's all good. Her eyes are very soft. She's coming right next to the vehicle, but she's not showing any sign of aggression. It's okay, Mama. She's right here next to us. A little bit awkward on the downhill, elephants are. Isn't that marvelous? The lions watch on in interest, wondering, could we, should we? Then they look at the adults and go, no, not interested. Can we play with that, Mum? Mum won't even look. She's like, no, don't be silly, children. You can see the intention on the youngsters' faces. It's the biggest toy they've ever seen. So, to answer that question again, look at how the intention of all the lions is in one direction. From the back, you would see all those black spots on the ears, all focused on the same target, so to speak, and that is how they communicate with each other. Obviously, they will not be hunting elephant today, but that is how they know the intention of specifically the lionesses, who are the ones who would instigate the hunt. Okay, so now that the elephant have moved away, we're going to continue on in our original plan to get down there with the lions. Because we can. And I'm sure all of you back home would like us to. Donna wants to know if lions can get distemper. I don't think so. I believe distemper is called canine distemper, but then I'm really not too familiar with a lot of the diseases. But I don't think lions can get canine distemper. That's more of a dog-related disease. But then I do stand to be corrected on that. I'm sure there is someone out there. Please send through your comment to #SafariLive and let us know if you think or know categorically that lions can actually get distemper. I know there's something that's very, very bad with dogs. Ooh, let's just be careful here. We don't want to fall into a hole. Brent is arriving today, and I'm not in the mood to get the Marshmallow Award before his arrival, because I am sure I will not hear the end of that. Are you happy there, Darby? Okay. So the elephants are enjoying their water on the other side of the dam. There they are. A little bit of a view of them. There we go, much better. Sorry about the bumpiness. What a marvelous morning we are having. So when we talk about going and checking the dams, this is why we check the dams. We could have elephants coming to drink. There could be lions lying very close in attendance. And as we've seen a lot as well, we find leopards. So it's very important from a guiding point of view to check the dams. And because we know dams are the currency of life, and animals will always be in and around them. But in the wet season, which is now, it is harder to find animals because pools of water occur all over the place. But as it gets drier and drier and drier, there's no option. Just go and check the water hole. You'll find animals. That is a guaranteed. Gallons. Pee-wee Bruce. Hello, good morning. Pee-wee Bruce. A very interesting name. You'd like to know how many gallons of water a lion can drink. I have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. I know that they can eat a huge amount of meat, but I don't think that they can drink as much water. I really don't know. Do you have any idea, Dave?
Nope.
So 1 gallon's 3 liters. That's a lot of water. I really have no idea. At the rate they lick it up, they don't get too much water in. But I know Scott had Tumba the other day drinking and drinking and drinking. Tumba's the young leopard he's following up on. Drinking and drinking and drinking, and he seemed to suck in a huge amounts of water. But I really honestly do not know the answer to that, I'm afraid. I will make a note of it. Any of the viewers out there know the answer to Pee-wee Bruce's question? How many gallons of water or liters of water can a lion drink? Safari Hayes has commented that big cats can get distemper. So that's very interesting. I didn't know that. I'm wondering if it's fatal to them, though, because distemper in dogs is fatal. I'm wondering if they're able to get past it. Really nice shots there of them drinking. So the youngster still hasn't come out of the bushes, and I've no doubt one of these adults, the one who just joined, in a moment will probably make a little call so that the smallest member of the pride will catch up, come and meet them by the water hole. Thanks, Conrad. So Conrad in the tech room has gone and Googled for me. Yeah, you can hear her calling. Has Googled for me and said that, here comes the little one on the left. That lions get about 8 cups of water a day, so similar to us. Except they don't use cups. Conrad, thanks, sir. They use their tongue. Could you hear those little contact calls? I love the sound of lions calling each other like that. It's quite a frightening sound when you're on foot and you hear that, because that is generally the call a female is giving to her cubs. And when you hear the reciprocated little from the cub, you could end up, or you could be in a whole lot of trouble if you're not careful, especially on foot. So the whole pride is here. The female with the injured hip moved a little bit off up the sort of dry riverbed here, but the rest of them seem to be lying flat, doing their thing. So we're going to stay here with these Nkuhumas, and if anything materializes, we'll come. Thanks very much. Something has just got my attention. This lioness just stood up, two of them. Not sure what they've seen or smelt or heard, but there's the two lionesses moving off there. There's a third one I've just noticed is a little bit further off in the bush. Maybe it's just the heat that's getting to them, but they were lying in the shade. They're all up. There's definitely some intention in their eyes there. So let's go around and have a little look. We obviously don't want to disturb whatever might happen. So we're going to keep a nice sort of distance from them. And as soon as we spot some animal that they might be seeing, we're going to switch off and watch action unfold. If there's anything there at all, there's definitely something there. The intention on the lionesses is very obvious. Sutters wants to know if the pride has a hierarchy, and not specifically. The lionesses that you see there, the four adults are moving. They are the ones who determine where the pride goes, and they're the ones who select the individual for hunting, and they're also the ones who pull down, generally, whatever it is that they hunt. The youngsters should learn to stay back initially in the first year and a bit, because all they do is really mess up the hunt. They don't have the patience, they don't have the skill, they don't have the know-how to pull down an animal. But you can see these three lionesses are intentions there. Third lioness is kind of moving off to the left. You definitely can see or hear something. The wind is coming directly towards them at the moment. It's amazing how quickly one moves and all four of them, or all three of them, join the individual that moved to go and see what they can do. You see how that one's now going right? The cubs are slowly starting to come in from the back now. Sometimes they can be useful to help to flush the quarry, but often when they're very playful, they often give away the presence of the cats, because they start getting quite boisterous and jumping, and they just don't have the patience that the adults have. So it would be in their best interests to just stay back and keep out of the way, if they are hungry, that is. And lions are generally always hungry, except for when they've devoured an entire buffalo. So who knows what it is they might have seen, but we're going to keep going with them. We're going to try to keep a bit left of the pride here. Keep out of their way. This could be exciting. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladybird, they do. They know how to be silent. They just know exactly what to do without any sort of communication that we can tell. But that's why the intention, the colors on the ears, an adult gets up, there's intention in her body language. It's all about body language in lions. And then they all pick up on those cues, and then they move off to do whatever it is that they need to do. Now they are seeming to lie down. Whatever it is possibly is moved off. Excitement is abated. Hello, beautiful ladies. Being in and around the waterhole, this is the The strategy that a lot of lions and leopards employ is to hang around water and allow the herbivore animals who are desperate to drink to come down to drink. Quite often what you'll notice is that these animals, the herbivores, impala, kudu, buffalo, will come in the heat of the day so as to avoid the movement of lions who are pretty much lying up in the coolness when it's getting very hot. So the heat of the day means that the predators are going to be less mobile and probably less chance of stalking them. What has she seen? I think whatever it is still lurking around in the bushes here. Definitely something going on. Not sure what it is. But as Taylor likes to say, we've got our patience pants on. The lions have got their patience pants on. If there's anything that they would like to do, they'd like to kill something before it gets too hot. You can already feel the temperature has risen dramatically. It is going to be a very warm day. If you can hear the call of the brown-hooded kingfisher in the background. Rian Deer Apple would like to know if the lions leave a female with the cubs when they go hunting. And what happens in the first few months of the cub's life is they get left in bushes away from the action, and a lioness will come to them from time to time to give them milk, but they don't generally stay with them. They go hunting because they need to feed, and they come back again to their cubs that they've stashed in a bush or in the thickets, quite similar to what Tundi does. Hence, she's on her way back to try and find her cub. But what's happening with this pride at the moment is the cub seems to be following her this pride everywhere. It's keeping up. It lost a few of its siblings a few months ago, so it is the last of the new lineage. Obviously, there's a few more sort of sub-adults in the pride, but that one seems to follow the pride everywhere. Although when we were tracking them last week, it appears that through the tracks, the Nkuhuma Pride came from the north of our property, went straight through to the bottom, to the south. They went off into Little Gowrie, which is below us, and the cubs stayed on our side. And then in the afternoon, they had reports of the one lioness coming back to fetch the cub. So that's what they'll do when they do hunt and they end up losing or leaving the cub behind. They'll go back to the last location and then call it in. But the cub is no use in the hunt, no use in the stalk. Let's see if we can carry on with these lions that are moving. Okay, so we are going to go over to Taylor with one of the lion's favorite foods. Let's see what she has. Oh, thank you, Taylor. We are still with them. We've managed to follow them across this sort of dry riverbed. And we're now... That's the brown-hooded kingfisher calling. And now we are sitting with them. They've just come to the other side and they've just plopped down again, all ears, listening for whatever it might be in the bushes there for them to snack on. As I said, impala are one of their favorite hors d'oeuvres, and in a pride of this size, an impala doesn't go very far, so they'd ideally be looking for a kudu or a buffalo, or maybe even one of those giraffe that are hanging around. That would suit their needs quite nicely. Susie, very good question, wants to know if the sub-adults ever try and bring down the kill. When they're at this age, I don't think so. They're at this age, they're a little bit too young. But as they get too closer to 2, 2.5, up until 3, then they become quite instrumental in the hunting and breaking down or pulling down of the prey. They're a little bit too boisterous at the moment. They don't really have too much patience. But if the lioness had gotten a buffalo, I mean, I think Taylor had some documented with one of the prides up in the Masai Mara earlier this year, or was it last year, of the lioness that caught a younger buffalo and how the youngsters were jumping on it and practicing to pull it down. So there are times when the adults will let the youngsters attempt and practice, which is very important for their techniques. But whether they physically hunt and stalk and pull down at this age. It's probably unlikely, but they do work very well as a flushing agent because they look like lions, they are lions, and they often help to chase the unsuspecting prey. We're going to go to Scott very quickly. What has got there, but apparently it's a different leopard. This is ridiculous. We've got the Nkuhuma Pride. Scott was with Tundi. I was told, link quickly to Scott, he's got Tundi, and then I hear he doesn't have Tundi, it's another leopard altogether. Who in the world could it be? My goodness, this place is producing all sorts of cats today. Apparently, that was a false alarm. In my ear, I've been told Senzo is playing some old footage. I'm not quite sure how that works. But we are here still with these majestic lions. And, oh, I can hear one calling off to the left. Let's have a listen. Can you hear that? It actually seems quite far. I don't know if it's one of these individuals here. It does sound like a contact call. There's one just in the bushes here on my left. And it's possible they left one of the individuals back there where we had them previously on the other side of the dam. Just a contact call. None of these seem to respond to it though. So it might actually be a distant call of one of those sub-adult males that they've been talking about in the north, which is that way. And I'm actually quite glad that the lions moved because we were sitting in a very hot position before that. Did you hear that? Dave got a bit of a fright, did you, Dave? These two youngsters are playing in the bushes. Not quite sure. Mum is up now. She's interested. What's going on? They are on high alert. They have lots of kids to provide for. They need to keep up their strength and they need to eat regularly. Lions are not the most successful of the predators, but they do kill enough. And they need to secure large prey animals so as to sustain their growing numbers. And it's a good time of year to do so. Little youngsters are playing. Is Mum going to come? Ooh, what's he playing with? It's almost as if he's got something there. He's got a scrub hare. Oh my goodness! That young lioness has got a scrub hare. That is fantastic. I thought it was playing with something, and now the others are going to go and try and steal it from him. So let's go down there and have a look at how he claims his prize for himself. Oh, sorry, little cubby. So now what I know with lions is when they do secure some of their own meat. Okay, there is that other lioness on the other side of the river there. So we have got a traffic jam in the form of the littlest member of the Pride. He's sitting behind our vehicle. Sorry for the aerial. We cannot go there, but so that youngster was a young sub-adult, was in the bushes there, and the scrub hare was probably standing dead still. All the other lions had walked straight past it. And we heard that noise. You heard that noise in the bush. I thought that was two individuals in the bush having a little bit of a go at each other. But what it actually was that individual catching a scrub hare. Marvelous. I would like to go around and have a look, because what happens with lions doesn't matter the age. They will not give up their food once they've caught it. If they've got a leg or they've got a piece of liver or they've got something from the kill, they will not give it up. And there's almost like a respect towards that. There's a couple of them are going to go have a look. I'm sure they might try. But sorry, little cubby, you are in our way. But we can't go there. I'm not going to try to chase this cub away. It might move shortly as all the interest is on the scrub hare. The cub is doing it deliberately, folks. It knows we want to go and show you some wonderful things, but it would rather be the center of attention. Do you realize, cub, that the aerial is in the way, so it is not the best view? The most adorable roadblock ever. How can anyone be upset with that? I'm going to try and turn around. At least we might be able to sneak past. at least get a better look at this youngster without the aerial in the way. Thanks, Scotty. Yes, here is... Oh, they are having some playtime now. But every lion that comes nearby this youngster with its kill is... Just have a listen to it. Have a listen. Any individual that comes close to it gets a growl, ears flat. Let's have a watch. This other one's coming. And they just back down immediately. So it's a young male. Might be a little bit more brazen than the females. Just see how they keep that distance. That has been claimed. Similarly, what happens when male lions cover female lions when they are breeding, exactly the same thing will happen. I've got here first. They will growl with their ears flat, and the message is very clear. Soraya, there's nothing like lions feeding, nothing like the growls that they make. And it was marvelous, so unexpected. Remember, this is all happening very live, folks. We have no control over what happens and where they go. None of us put that scrub hare there in the bush for this youngster to investigate. The scrub hare, probably as the entire pride walked past, was standing dead still in the thickets. But it's probably a little bit of a smell, or maybe a little twitch of the ear that gave away its presence. Ryan would like to know if I know that of lions that choose to hunt during the day rather than at night. Ryan, lions will hunt whenever they can. They are opportunistic. If they are lying here in the shade on a hot day and an animal comes nearby, they will try and hunt it. They can't help themselves. They are cats. Something moves, they have to grab it. Obviously, they choose to hunt more during the night because the conditions are cooler and they have a much greater advantage at night. But I've seen lions hunt in the middle of the day, any time of day. It doesn't really matter. And as we've noticed, if you're with us this morning, we found them not far at all from where we left them last night, only about 10 to 15 meters. So they didn't do anything last night. And they've moved not too far from where we found them yesterday morning. So being an ambush specialist, lions can secure a lot of their meat by hanging around a waterhole during the day, because unsuspecting prey animals that come down to water are always at their mercy. And as you see, this scrub hare, who's a nocturnal animal, was hiding in the bushes, was not wearing his lucky rabbit foot today. It's missing at least 1 foot already. So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to show you what a scrub hare looks like, because all you can see there now is fur. But it looks very similar to a rabbit. They breed differently. They don't live in holes in the ground, which was the downfall of this scrub hare. It was just camouflaged and very quietly hiding underneath a very thorny buffalo thorn bush. But I suppose if it had run, once it was surrounded by lions, it would have been a very short end to the poor little animal. Just giving the lens a wipe, we have a spider web. Did you see that? The lioness to the right of this youngster stood up and had a look at its morsel, or its scrub hare, its toy, so to speak. And it did that behavior with the growl and the ears flat. And the other lion had just decided it's enough, too much effort to play with that, so they just ignore it after that. So that's how the dynamics of lion prides work. They will do that when they kill something. After they kill it, say something small like an impala, it gets completely ripped to pieces. And then the individual lions who've ripped those pieces off will move off onto a little corner of their own and will sit there and will be left alone with that piece, so long as they growl and posture like that whenever someone else approaches. But in saying that, when a male lion, big dominant male lion, moves into a situation, it will steal and take whatever it wants because it is far bigger and superior to all the others in the pride. And it needs a little bit extra to maintain its brawn. And the males always get the proverbial lion's share. Okay, so from our very hairy critters here on the ground, let's go to Taylor McCurdy with something feathery. The youngster that had the scrub hare finished it completely, but just before it finished, two of these youngsters came towards it to stalk it, and it held its ground beautifully, chased them off, and then after smelling the ground again and making sure there was nothing left on the ground, it ran away with a very happy sort of look on its face. Now you'll see all of these are going to come and have a look and find out what is left in the grass. But it ran away with a very funny gait, a very happy, like, look what I did kind of behavior, almost quite proud of itself. And now she is going to have a bit of a toilet stop right there. Isn't that marvelous? So it's mainly the youngsters that have been down in the river paying attention to the youngster that had killed the scrub hare. And it wasn't the biggest of scrub hares, but they can get up to about 4.5 kilograms. And it ate everything. There's nothing. Yes, thanks very much. We've managed to get back on the other side to where we were almost the first time before the scrub hare incident. And all of them seem to be back up here on the bank. A couple of them are missing, but probably hidden somewhere in the bushes as they now take shelter from the sun that is starting to beat down on us quite heavily. I'm pretty sure that these lions will stay in this vicinity for the remainder of the day. The water is nearby. They actually killed that buffalo not far from here at all. Nudie Cat, you have sent a picture of a battery, and would you like to come and help us with our battery issues? Dave says it's just a little bit of a camera malfunction that we will get through, and we'll get it sorted before the afternoon drive. So we apologize for any technical issues we might have, but I think everything seems to be working well at the moment. But the lions are definitely interested. I mean, their heads are all up. They're not lying flat. I think after that scrub hare incident, there's a little bit of bloodlust in the air, and they're all hungry. They all feel like they've missed out a little bit on the party. The beautiful Nkuhumas. So as I was saying, I'm pretty sure they won't go too far. If they do move, it'll be further into shade or towards the dam to drink. But I'm sure they won't be too far from this position later this afternoon. Someone else that might come through here. I know Brent is back this afternoon. And bear in mind, we are starting our show half an hour earlier in the afternoon drive, our sunset safaris. And our morning drives are starting half an hour later. It is moving into autumn and then winter, and the daylight hours here are much shorter in South Africa. We don't have anything such as daylight savings. It would be a nice thing to have, I think, because Cape Town in the summer months is light for a very long time, and in winter it gets dark extremely early. But I wonder if something like that will ever be put in place. You hear the blacksmith lapwing making its call in the background. Cape turtle dove. Scarlett would like to know if the Nkuhuma Pride have ever come across the Styx Pride. I have not seen it myself, but I would not be surprised. They share a natural boundary. Their pride boundaries probably have a small bit of overlap, so I am sure that there is some interaction. But I've never seen it. Maybe Scott might know, or Taylor might know more than me in that department. Beautiful stretch of the cat. And so what happens with lions, especially if they have cubs, and this is something I've seen on many occasions, if they've got youngsters and they hear lions calling in the distance, they often get up and move in the other direction. They don't want to have conflict while they have youngsters, and both prides at the moment have youngsters. The Styx have a few more sort of younger ones than the Nkuhumas do now. But there would be conflict if they interacted with each other. And I think Taylor was saying something about one of the young sub-adult males in the Styx Pride was killed. I'm not sure exactly the details behind that, but that would have been a pride sort of warfare that would have happened between the females of two prides, and an individual getting caught up in the middle of that could be fatal. There's no friends when it comes to a territorial fight, as some of you might have seen in the footage Scott got of last year of that hyena fight. That one individual hyena got absolutely minced by a few others. So it's something that we always pay attention to and talk about, the inter-specific competition. So between hyenas and lions and leopard, we always talk about that, but a lot of people don't think too much about the actual conflict that goes on between the species. And when lioness and lioness encounter each other, it can be an immense battle, because they are fighting for breeding area, they are fighting for food resource. So essentially they're fighting for survival. Pauline, you're asking a question I'm hearing a lot lately, and a lot of people out there would like to know if lions will eat each other if they need to. And I have seen lions eat other lions. It's not common. It might just be an interest thing. Lions will invariably kill other lions, and then once they've killed them, they might eat them purely because it's there. It's meat that is there. But lions don't actively hunt other lions to eat them. They might kill them for a territorial dispute, might be male on male, and then they might eat them. But I've only seen or heard of a few encounters of that in my life. Quite often the lion that gets injured or killed will then get devoured by hyenas or vultures. But if they have to, is the statement. I don't know if they ever have to. There's plenty of other food around, but being opportunistic, it is possible that they might eat a dead animal in front of them. Oh, hello. That's the shade of the big tambuti tree. Okay, folks, so the Nkuhumas seem to be settling down nicely, so we're going to stay here with them for a little while longer. And while we do that, let's go over to Taylor and see what interesting information she has for you.